Welcome to the Unusual History of Everything, the podcast that uncovers the unusual history of everything around us. I'm Karen Lisi.
And I'm Melanie Dellis. On this episode, we look at how divining rods are being used to find more than just water. Well, it's almost Halloween. I gotta try to be scary.
True. Should I try to do like a witchy voice? I don't know.
Yeah,
What is
try
the
it.
witchy voice?
I have no idea, but try it.
When you think of dowsing. No.
You sound like some old lady. Well, I guess there's a witchy old lady. Oh, do Glinda the Good Witch.
When you think of dowsing or using divining, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, I gotta go back to Karen.
Okay. When you think of dowsing or using divining rods, most people's minds automatically go to the two-pronged sticks used to find water. And that's true. That's what they are said to do. But what most people don't know is that divining rods have also been used for thousands of years around the world to find metal, the depth of oil in the ground, hidden tunnels, and even bodies buried beneath our feet.
Dowsing, which is known as questing in Canada and biophysical locating in Russia, is generally thought of as an art that deals with locating energy changes in the earth or in people that can't be felt with the usual senses. Wait, I just want to go back to this questing. It's called questing in Canada. It's almost like Harry Pottery. Like I'm going on a quest, right?
Yeah.
Harry Pottery.
I was thinking more like the Legend of King Arthur and the Round Table.
Quest. Or like Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not Harry
Quest.
Potter.
Then again, then there's Russia with the biophysical locating.
I like that.
I like that too. Okay, where was I? Locating energy changes in the earth or in people. Okay, that's where the divining rod comes in. Early on, people used forked branches from trees that would force themselves downward when water was near. As time went on, two pieces of metal were bent into L shapes and held in each hand to detect changes underground.
Many people say any type of metal will work. However, there are some who prefer copper or brass because those metals aren't affected by electromagnetism. Still, others prefer iron, steel, or tin because those metals are affected by electromagnetism. In any case, the rods are fashioned into a 3-foot-long L shape with a short handle. When held loosely and parallel to each other and to the ground, the rods will cross each other when there is an energy shift in the earth below.
Let's talk about energy for a minute. We know that most, if not all, of the Earth's rocks are radioactive to a certain degree and emit gamma radiation. And we know that the human body is made of matter and energy that is electrical and chemical. At any given moment, our bodies have about 20 watts of energy coursing through, which is enough to power a light bulb. Think Uncle Fester from the Addams Family.
Totally.
I love him. Our bodies are open systems that exchange energy with our surroundings. So in death, when our bodies decompose in the ground, the atoms and energy that make us up are transferred into the ground that covers us, eventually making its way up into the atmosphere for a divining rod to detect.
Dowsing isn't a modern thing. The first known dowser was Emperor Yu of the Hsia dynasty in China about 4,000 years ago. He is often seen in etchings holding two-pronged fork out in front of him, and he wrote about dowsing during his reign. Confucius also mentions dowsing, and Emperor Huangzong back in 2200 BC was known to be a dowser. There are also pharaonic tombs in Egypt that contain dowsing tools and etchings on how to use them. There have even been cave paintings discovered in France, Spain, and the Middle East depicting dowsing. Surprisingly, the U.S. military used to have dowsers in the Vietnam War to locate landmines and hidden tunnels, and the British military had them on the Falkland Islands looking for unexploded ordnances.
But let's get back to the decomposing bodies. 15th century Germany called it witching for graves, and they used witch hazel twigs to do it. The idea is the same as looking for water or metal. A person's decomposing body underground gives off a certain level of energy that disturbs Earth's natural goings-on, and the divining rod supposedly can detect it and send an electrical impulse through the rod, up the dowser's arms, and into the dowser's brain. In response, a compatible wavelength is created, and an electrical impulse is sent back through the body, manifesting in the dowser's arms, moving the rods. But there's also another theory that people call ideomotor action. Basically, it means that if you expect to find a body and expect your rods to move, then they will.
Sounds harmless enough. But back in medieval times, the Catholic Church considered dowsers evil and told everyone that the devil gave dowsers special powers, thus condemning the practice and anyone who practiced it. However, the Victorian era saw a dowsing revival as an interest in the mystical and spiritual came into fashion. Many famous people practiced dowsing, including Leonardo da Vinci, Robert Boyle, who was the first modern chemist, and Albert Einstein.
Today, genealogists can be seen utilizing divining rods to find grave sites, and they even claim to be able to tell you the gender of the person below. They have 2 techniques for this. The first is to stand over a grave holding one of the rods loosely overhead, parallel to the ground. The rod will swing around and then point to the feet of a male or the head if it's a female. The second way to determine gender is to balance the handle of one rod on the forefinger while standing over a grave. The rod will circle clockwise if it's male and counterclockwise for a female. And they say, I've read in our research, that you can do this with a live person too, because a live person will emit energy in the same way. So you can tell the gender. So Karen is 5 months pregnant right now. Mm-hmm. So Karen, I just happen to have my own dowsing rod. I have fashioned a coat hanger.
You made one from scratch.
I made one from scratch.
So it might not work at all.
No, because in the research, it did say that a lot of the genealogists will use coat hangers because of the type of metal that's in there. So we're going to try it. Karen, I need you to lay down on this portion in front of me right here.
You're serious?
I'm totally serious. We're going to find the gender of her baby right now, live on air.
All right.
Now, listen, I have to say that we know what the gender of her baby is.
So
okay.
We already know, so this probably is going to be a little bit on the bias side.
No, I'm going to be unbiased. I'm not going to force my dowsing rod, my divining rod, to say yes or no to whatever. Okay, so you just lay down. So Karen no longer is attached to her microphone. So
why is there an axe on your bed?
There's an axe here because I have joined an axe throwing league, and I do that for fun. Just so you know.
You want me to lay next to an axe?
The blade is covered, okay? Okay. So I am going to do the second way to determine gender that we just talked about. So that is, I have my L-shaped coat hanger that I have fashioned into an L shape. I'm going to balance the handle of it on my forefinger while I raise it above her belly, her baby belly. And then supposedly the rod will circle clockwise if it's a male and counterclockwise for a female. This is so funny. I am balancing on my forefinger the rod, and I'm going to stand perfectly still and let it swing or not.
It is a little bit.
It's going back and forth, left and right.
I don't think you made a very good dowsing rod.
I did make a good dowsing rod.
Well, it's gotta be what it is.
Shut it. Let me see. Let the magic happen, Karen. Sorry. All right, I'm waiting for the electromagnetic energy to course through her belly up into the atmosphere so that it goes and sends a signal through my arm, through the divining rod, through my arm to my brain, which will then send an electromagnetic pulse through my brain into my arm through the dowsing rod to determine the gender.
Does my baby have to be moving?
Wait, it's moving. It's moving. Wait, let's be quiet for a second. It's going. No, it's changing direction. It was going clockwise and now it is going counterclockwise. That's a girl. It works.
Does it? Or is it just your brain?
What does left and right, like if you're having a pendulum swing over, you know how you determine the sex of the baby with the wedding ring or the pendulum, and it goes left and right? What does that mean? That means it's a girl. She's having a girl, so we're just going to say that worked. I feel so sciencey now. Don't you feel sciencey?
I feel enculturated. I don't know if y'all heard some of that, but basically, yes, it is a girl. And also there's an axe on Melanie's bed. I just want to point that out. There's an axe on her bed. I mean, I know it's close to Halloween.
I already explained why there's an axe on my bed.
I understand that, but it's still like, do you sleep with it?
No. Okay, first of all, if you don't know, we record this podcast in my bedroom because it has the best acoustics. That's why we're talking about it. No, I don't sleep with the ex. It's usually on the podcast table.
Oh, so you had
where
to
the
move
mics
it.
are.
You had to
and I
move
moved
the
it
mic.
so that you wouldn't cut yourself, although the blade is covered.
But
so
you moved it so I wouldn't cut myself, yet you made me lay on the bed next to it.
The blade is covered.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I would have protected you had I known that it would hurt you.
You forgot the axe was there.
No, I knew it
on
was
your
there.
bed.
I just didn't think it would hurt you. So stop being a baby. Oh my God. You're so sensitive.
I just think it's hilarious that there's an axe on your bed.
Well, our divining rod experiment has been a success, I think.
I don't know. I'm wondering because the signal had to go through your brain or whatever, and you already knew what it was.
Well, you were talking and disturbing the electromagnetic pulse.
It was my fault.
The baby was like, shut up, Mom. I'm trying to send a pulse through you up into the atmosphere.
I think that's definitely what my fetus was doing in that moment. Well, anyway, that brings us to the end of our episode. You can follow the Unusual History of Everything podcast on Instagram at the Unusual History of Everything and on Facebook at the Unusual History of Everything podcast. And find our show notes on www.musecuratorial.com. The Unusual History of Everything is written, produced, and directed by Melanie Dellis and Karen Lacey.
New episodes air every Tuesday on all podcast outlets. Be sure to subscribe to us so you never miss a fun and zany episode like today, and leave us a review. You can also see photos from our episodes and more on our website, Instagram, and Facebook. Thanks for listening. I'm Melanie Dellis.
And I'm Karen Lacey, your host for the Unusual History of Everything.
Da, 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 da.